Hey, Witch, and welcome back to Witch Hunt. I'm Panda Bennett, and today on the trial of Naya with the Ritual Muse, we'll be discussing finding her path and her turbulent journey. Naya, I know how busy you are. You've got a new deck coming out, and you've got all kinds of cool things going on. So I'm really glad that you made time to be here with us today. So
Honored. Thank you.
yeah, and you guys, I actually had to reschedule. This is embarrassing, but I'm addicted to McDonald's spicy chicken nuggets. And, anyways, I gave myself food poisoning at like midnight the night before we were supposed to meet. So, yeah, I'm basically a child. But, um, Naya, so tell us about you.
Oh wow, that's a hard question. No, just kidding.
Isn't that funny? I know, like,
I hate it. It's what, it's not as bad as I was talking to someone about interview questions, and I'm like, when they're like, describe a time when you went above and beyond. So that's worse. So you're like,
no, the only thing worse for me as an adult, I hate that question as well. But I hate when people are like, "What are your hobbies?" I'm like,
oh,
oh, I guess I'm very uninteresting and I don't have hobbies. Like, is napping a hobby? Like, I
are
guess
hobbies still a thing?
paying bills? I don't know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, but I always ask everyone because we've been kind of grappling with like the term labels. So do you subscribe to the label witch or mystic or seeker? Or, I just met with Benjamin Black and he calls himself a spiritual anarchist. I had never heard that before. I really like that term. But yeah, do you have any labels? Don't like labels?
It's a yeah. There's a lot to answer just that question alone. I do have a label, I guess now, and I have to admit, and the reason I wanted to meet with you is because I really started thinking about it when I started to see your witch hunt series. And the reason is because when I started the path as a witch, it was years and years ago. And in the beginning, I was so overwhelmed, and I just, when you feel that call and you dive right in. And I was grabbing every book. I was at Barnes and Noble like every other weekend. Like I had to soak it all in. And I ended up getting on finding an online chat where I didn't really participate, but I did a lot of reading. And I started to see a lot of people fighting and arguing about traditions and paths. And then, you start to panic and you back up and you're like, wait. Um, but I thought if I chose one particular witch, because there's so many different types of witch that we can identify as, I thought that if I did pick one, it would be a good idea, because then it's almost like living, kind of putting blinders on, and then I could hone in and focus on what I wanted to study. Because for me, it's always, I'm a writer, I'm an artist, I'm a creator. It's constantly, there's always that perfectionism that, I'm trying to strive for. But then I thought if I chose one path or one label, I had to be an expert at it. And then that's terrifying. And then, imposter syndrome comes in, and it's like, I can't say I'm, a kitchen witch if I don't have it all down pat and I'm not growing all my food and doing all that stuff. So, um, and then I just got into this no labels whatsoever. And then this was also about the time that I was completely changing my life around and coming out of the closet and all of that. So then there's those labels that are like, meh, you want them, but you don't. So it's like you want that sense of identity, but you also don't want to be put in a box by anybody else. Um, so then I just started to, still kept reading, kept practicing, and just really started to dive into what felt natural to me and what felt good. And everything was just very nature based. So for years, if I was amongst the company where that question came up and they kind of asked about religion or spirituality, I would just say that I was pagan, because that all felt very safe and gentle. And I love the Wheel of the Year and following all that. And I thought that was a safe place to be. But it's really just recently, like I said, that I've started paying attention to, well, what kind of witch am I? If I really start using that word, I use it in my house and I use it amongst my friends, but very few people. So just taking a step back, I'm definitely a divination witch. I've done all kinds of work and deep dives and readings from other people to kind of figure out what my purpose is. And it's always come back that I'm a messenger. I'm supposed to talk with and to and for people. And everything I do in my life follows the moon. So my new title now is that I'm a lunar witch. So I guess I'm a lunar divination witch.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's a very long answer to your question.
No.
I'd been thinking about it, and I'm like, gosh, it's a long journey to go through, I think.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely great. And some people, that's why I always like to ask people about labels. Some people absolutely hate them, some change theirs, and I just want people to not feel confined by it. You can always change your label, you can add to it, you can throw it away, whatever feels comfortable for you at that time. And some people, they are like absolutely no labels. Like when I got started, I was like, because I had this like religious trauma back here that I was just like, no thank you, no thank you. I didn't want any labels at all. But for some people it kind of gives them a direction or like a comfort, or kind of helps narrow things down to get started, which then just the getting started is what's so important, because then you naturally go into other things and you open up other things. And as you move through life, you grow and change and evolve, and your craft or your labels do that with you.
Yeah. I think though I've met so many people recently that have, they start on that little conversation. Like for me, I can easily talk about art and it goes into tarot. And then you get some people they kind of sit up straight, and some of them are like, will you read for me? So you get that side, and then you get some that kind of panic and kind of cringe on themselves because they think it's, the devil and all that. But I've met so many people that have said, well, I'm just a baby witch. And I just think that's so cool, because I haven't even thought about how long it's been since I really discovered. Actually, I guess my son was about 4, so about 12 years ago that I really started to discover that this was my path. This was where I was supposed to be. And I also had some religious trauma with a parent that I had to get away from as quickly as I could. And this felt really right. But even after, over a decade, there's still some times where I want to say, well, I'm just a baby witch, because there is so much to learn. There's so much to experience. And we all go about it in a completely different patterned way.
Yeah. I actually just put that in a comment today, just about how I've been reading tarot for like 15 years. And people were like, I don't remember what they asked me. About like not using a guidebook or something like that. And I said, well, I said, there's not all decks use the same system. I said, there's no wrong reason, or there's no reason, nothing wrong with referring to the guidebook, because I feel like I will always be a student of tarot, and everything that I learn gives me like another layer, another depth or level to these readings. And so I just said, we're all always learning. And so I know for myself, I will always be a student of tarot. I will always be a student of the universe. And also I'll always be a student of witchcraft, because I'm always learning about how things are connected and learning about myself. And that, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a safe thing to say too. Like I said, I went through that period where I thought if I picked a label, I had to be really, really good at it, really, really knowledgeable. And, like tarot is difficult for me because I've been reading and I'm comfortable reading. And even that gift of being able to be a reader just changes and evolves and deepens. But I still, people can spit out different traditions of the tarot, and or even say it's not tarot, it's tarot, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Like I'm same as you. There's so much out there, and there's so much history, and then there's so much evolving and things changing. And tarot for me is I've got to rely intuitively on it, or I get lost, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So
yeah.
It's hard. We're pretty good at it.
Yeah. And I think that everyone deals, like at some point in time, will deal with that uncertainty or that feeling. And it's important to like push through or find someone like a reliable source to pull wisdom from. And then just know that like you're totally okay. Like wherever you're at, you are okay. It'll, and we all do ups and downs with feeling magical or like having that level of energy to do divination or rituals or even to get dressed and shower for the day. So it just comes and goes, and so it just waxes and wanes, and yeah, it's a part of the journey. I think that that's really important. um a lot of the things, like some of the newer things, don't really talk about that. They're just like, you're just going to wake up and you're going to be a witch and you're a crystal witch, or you're a green witch, and like here it is. Like, well, there's a lot in between. There's a lot of ups and downs, and figuring out what you believe in and what really sparks joy in your heart, and how you're connected to other people, how you view the world. I mean, there's just a lot in between, like that whole thing.
You're absolutely right. There's so much. And then it also, we ebb and flow with the seasons, just like everything else. Like I think one of the very first things that I learned on the path was that winter, even though, autumn is kind of our new year, it's when we start things again, but it's winter is the big sleep. And even as just humans, we get, we're inside more and we eat a little bit more, and it's more about comfort, and it's less doing, it's less being outside. But even outside of the seasons, there are times when life happens, the world happens. I would like to say that this past crazy year was a time that I got really, really deep into my spiritual practice, but it wasn't. It was like you get out of bed and you eat and you just survive and you try to get through the day. But I think it's important too that witches know that if you go through those times of sleep or of not really nurturing your practice or your path, it doesn't mean that you've lost it. It doesn't
Right.
mean that you had that gift and the universe gave you that gift and you had, those moments of synchronicity and you're like, did that really just happen? But it did. And it did because you worked magic. But when we stop, it's not always easy to jump back in quickly. So then I think there's this fear that bubbles up in a lot of us that says, I didn't care for that gift I was given. It's been taken away. It's lost. But it's not. It's just, you just got to open it back up and dig back in. And that's been coming up a lot lately in readings I've been doing for some people too, that it's just kind of like, is it okay if am I allowed back in? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can I put my witch's hat back on? Or
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a path. We have been.
um So tell me then. So I know you're an artist. Your shadow work deck is one of my favorites, and you have another deck coming out, which is super exciting. So I know that you do shadow work. What else? What else do you really like lights your witchy fire? What are you doing on the daily? What is your path center on?
Um, most right now it's mostly creative work, because that's, if I'm not doing something like that, I'm not myself, and I get completely weighed down by anxiety, and so I have to be creating at all times. Of course I have a day job that like pays for my car payment and stuff, but really just creating and writing is what I do. So I've got a lot of art pieces I'm working on, but I'm writing, and writing is really kind of the big dream. But I'm actually writing, asking what I'm doing alongside with spiritual path and stuff, is I am digging as deep as I can possibly get into my goddess, which is Kali Ma. And I recently got the deck by Elena Fairchild, which I was very excited about learning the different aspects based on her research. And so I am beginning to do a daily, well, not a daily with her, it's more like a weekly card, because this a pretty deep dive, learning aspects and then seeing how she shows up in my life, where I need her, and things like that. And the plan is to actually write a novel at the same time about my path, about coming into a new path, about what it means to tap into the energies of all the different goddesses and the gods, and what they're there for and why. Coming from pretty religious background, it's the idea of multiple gods and goddesses is just bad, and you don't do that. And so trying to explain just the different energies that come from the different goddesses that we choose is really important to me. I think a lot of people, there are a lot of amazing authors out there. There's a lot of amazing books, but I don't personally know of any that have really just followed somebody going down that path.
Well, and it doesn't matter how many books there are, it's not yours. So
It's fine.
everyone has a unique, you have a unique voice and perspective and experiences which are valuable. So I mean that's super exciting. So with your work and like you create art. I struggle with this. Like I see it as so magical, but like I couldn't doodle if I wanted to. But just tell me about like how you tie your witchcraft and how that nurtures you create from that space. You know what I mean? That is magic, because you just put out some amazing stuff. You're a very talented artist, and yeah, I'm lime green jello because I can't draw or paint or anything.
There's a lot that I can't do either. Painting for me it's how I process. It's how I process what's coming up. It's how the past I think it's going on 2.5 years now, I've had a lot of resurfacing trauma that I don't really have the tools to just yet to deal with. So I turn to my creative work. I turn to the paintings, and when I'm painting something, I don't really know what I'm painting. It just kind of comes out. And I do get a lot of really cool feedback like that. Thank you. People just saying your pieces are magic. Like there's so much energy in them. And it's not me trying to project that into the painting at all. I think that it is literally my spirit is like, we have to get this out. So we have space for this. So we have space for me to sink in, to meditate, to go to that other place of just finding that calm and that connectedness that I have to have in order to be a witch and in order to practice the craft and use the healing tools that we have, and just to live a better life, if that makes sense. I hope that wasn't too much.
Oh yeah.
Too much of a ramble. It's just
No, I mean I love connecting with people on their path because it's all different, and I learned something new about how to nourish myself and how to just help guide my path and my authentic self with every person that I sit down with, because like I said, everyone has different experiences and perspectives, and I find it extremely interesting. And I just love the diversity of witchcraft. And so tell me then, you said, because you mentioned like meditation, so outside of your creative outlets, is there any daily magic that you're doing, any daily rituals that you do, from meditation to blessings or anything like that you do regularly?
Right. I try to like pull a card regularly. I have a very specific oracle deck that I use daily. And it is an oracle deck that sits by my bedside table, and it takes absolutely none of my shit whatsoever. The other day I pulled one out and I literally yelled, "Stop giving me this card," because it's the same card. It's like, calm down, Naya. So I do that. One of my biggest, and it's not super glamorous. I don't, need any tools for it, but my biggest ritual is how I get out of bed in the morning. My wife she starts work pretty early, and she's got an office at home, so she'll get up first. And then I'm kind of awake because I know that she's moved and she's left the room and the dogs are waking up. But I lay in the bed and I say good morning to whatever deity is kind of in my ear at the time. I usually have a flush of what's that day is about, like what day it is, if I'm going to work, what project is due, what's happening. And I take a mini meditation to just calm it all. And then I express gratitude outside of it. Outside of the deck coming up and the deck that's going well, and outside of the commission paint, like outside of the work, it's just, thank you so much. Really just being grateful for the day, for waking up, grateful for the health of my family. I set an intention for the day and how I need the day to go, which usually is based off how I feel. And then I grab my tea, and then I go outside, and I can see the sunrise just above the mountains out to the left of my porch. And
Where are you at?
I'm in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
I've got like, and you can only see the mountains in the winter, and I get so excited when you can just see the peaks. But the sun does come up right behind him, which is, I mean, the colors are
Gorgeous.
insane. Yeah, it's gorgeous. But I take that in. To me, the sun has always been my god, and the moon has been my goddess. So I'll say good morning to the god, good night to the goddess, and I close my eyes and I just let the sunlight kind of bask over my face, and I take that in, and then I've got to tap into it to get through the workday sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's they're small, but they're important. And I notice the days that I don't just take that little bit of time and do it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I like that when you said it's not glamorous, because I feel like there's witchcraft aesthetic, especially right now, which is very popular, and then I feel like there's actual witchcraft that's really about healing and authenticity, and it's not always, Instagram aesthetic. It's not always these big rituals. Sometimes it's just quietly checking in with yourself. One of my favorite things to do is just in the morning, I've gotten really into studying breath work, and like just even for myself, how much, because I struggle with anxiety, and so I'll like hold my breath for long periods of time, and like almost feel like someone's kind of like stepping on my chest, and then all of a sudden I won't realize it until like how much tightness I have in my chest, until I have to take that big inhale, and I'm like, oh, I'm anxious. But yeah, just starting my day. Yeah, and so just starting my day with 3 really deep breaths, like just breathing into all the spaces in your body with like love and joy, and then one positive thought, like setting your intention for that day, and then just like moving about like with that, carrying that with you out into your day, has just really been um I don't know, it's been powerful. It's just like, instead of like the universe taking me about the day, it's like me being like, like no matter what happens, I'm going to take it in stride, and I've already set my intention for the day, and I'm going to stay with that intention. You know what I mean? Whether it's balance or joy or, calm. Yeah.
This is me. This is how I'm. Send what you will. This is how I'm taking it.
Yeah. Yep. Because I've done my breath work, I've set my intention, and like here we are. So yeah, I mean, witchcraft doesn't have to be glamorous.
It doesn't. I think that is really hard in the beginning because I remember like picking out my tools, and I,
Yeah.
had to
I
have my.
mean, I love glamour. Give me
Oh,
glamour, but
I love my pretty things. I love my
yes.
pretty things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. I think that you learn, at least for me. I think that you learn that it's okay to let go of the glamour. Excuse me. Nothing against those that are very ceremonial, ritual magic. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
beautiful. Um, but when it's just me and I'm doing those things, they're in the beginning, I took all the steps, like I followed, the how to, and I took all the steps. And that was great for getting myself in the right mindset. But then when something happens, for instance, a friend brings me a tarot deck that was actually an old playing cards deck that her aunt had written all over the cards. So way back in the day, before we had all these fancy things. And she asked me to kind of sit with them and play with them. Well, they burned my hands. So you don't really have time to set up the circle and call the corners and like do all that stuff when you're ready to, I need help, and you've got to tap into some of those other world energies. You just have to do it. And I think when that happened, I realized, yeah, I don't have to have all of this fancy stuff. Everything I've purchased, I've kept because I love dearly, and it was a
Oh yeah.
part of my path. But
Well, I mean, and look, I mean, I could do anything I do without all of this stuff back here behind me. So you guys, again, I'm just trying to say that like witchcraft is free, and like self-love is free. You don't have to have a lot of these things. However, whatever brings you comfort, and helps you create a space or an atmosphere that brings you joy, and like helps you set a mood or an intention, is completely fine. Like yeah, it's what, again, it is whatever works for you.
Whatever works, whatever works. Your space is important. I do believe that, though. I think if you
Yes.
can have a, like today, I completely cleaned out my entire studio because it was just getting very clustered with packing and all of that stuff. I just shipped out all my stuff. So it was a mess. And it's like, I can't even come in and create. I was starting to take my easel out into the living room because I'm like, there's so much chaos in here and there's so much to do. So creating your space is important. And I like your setup. I think it's beautiful. It looks
Oh,
really
thank
cool.
you.
It should look cool.
I
had a hat.
Yeah, this is a Killstar hat that I just, I think you know that I like lost my mind during pregnancy and I shaved off all my hair during like lockdown. So I don't have any hair at all, but yeah, this is a Killstar hat and I just absolutely live in this hat, but now I'm super thankful for this hat because I don't know how I'm going to grow my hair back out without looking like a Q-tip. So it'll be interesting.
That part.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you, for anyone that's looking to learn, either when you started years ago or even that you use now, are there any books or learning resources, blogs, content creators, anything like that that really helped you that you would recommend to people that were also on this journey?
I wish I'd thought about that ahead of time. I have a bookcase full. I think the first thing to say is because if somebody's new and they're looking for books, there's so many authors and take the time like at the bookstore to open it up and read just a few pages. And if it doesn't feel very quickly like you're having a conversation with a friend, that's not your person. So kind of set that aside and try something else. I remember some of my very first books were, I'm going to say her name wrong. It was Silver Ravenwolf or Ravenclaw.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Raven, do you know who I'm talking about? Ravenwood or something like that. And I read a lot of them, but I think my favorite was just Solitary Witch, because then that's when I realized I don't have to have a coven. I don't have to talk with other people about this. I don't need somebody else to tell me this is right, this is wrong. So that was a really good one. And there's another book. Maybe I can send you a little list and you can add it.
Yeah. If you send me a list, I'll put it down below, you guys. And again, I will put all of the information for the Ritual Muse. Check out the amazing Shadow Work Oracle deck that she's already done. Follow on Instagram to see the new tarot deck that is on its way. Again, I would like to just really appreciate it. I did an unboxing. I'll put that down below too, because I did an unboxing of her deck as well. But it was all packaged in eco-friendly packaging, and I just like my green witch heart was so happy and like thankful, because we've been trying to do this big zero waste shift, and it turned out that like I was the one out of everyone in the family that I was the one that was bringing in the most plastic, just through like my tools and my decks, and because like the outside, like they'd come in a package or a plastic mailer, and then the outside is wrapped in plastic, and then you get inside and it's shrink wrapped in plastic, and like yeah, so it's been really hard to find like eco-friendly. So like, and I know that it's always not always the most easy or cheapest way to go, and that's why people don't. So I would just like to say thank you very much for that. I appreciate that extra step.
Thank you for appreciating it. It's kind of funny. I feel like sometimes people are like, why don't I get like a 17-part shiny box? I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, where am I gonna put it? Yeah, no, I
mean, it's cool, and the videos are really cool when it's like, oh, and all these layers is beautiful. But yeah, I can't. I just keep going back to. I have a carbon footprint that I'm got to be better about, but now my business does too. And so if I can at least start with that, that's good. But it is definitely not cheap. So thank you for appreciating it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of extra work.
But. So before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with people? Tell them about their path that might help people. I know, again, that's a big question, an open question, but.
It is, but I think just follow your intuition, follow your gut. I mean, if it feels good, it's good. When you wonder if something really just happened, it did. Yes. And that's your magic. And also, I went through a Harry Potter syndrome. Like I remember going into the basement, like literally saying Accio hammer because I couldn't find a hammer. And of course I was laughing at myself. I didn't really think it would work. But I felt this little letdown after a while when like I couldn't levitate things and I was really trying. So don't let it discourage you.
Yeah.
If you can't do that. The magic is on a completely different, bigger, much more incredible plane. So just stick with it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's so funny. I like resonate. First of all, like every year we through the winter, because we're in South Dakota, so we have like intense seasons. So like we have, shut down blizzards and, months and months of snow. And so like every year we watch the Lord of the Rings, all the movies, and then we watch all of the Harry Potter like in the evenings because there's like nothing else to do. So I'm also very into Harry Potter, but I went through a phase where I was like, I am now Sailor Moon. I was very disappointed when I was like, well, in the name of the moon, I banish your ass. And I was like, that didn't work like I thought it was going to, but but yeah, but yes, you guys are magic and you have so many other ways it'll manifest. You will be really surprised once you start working with your own abilities and the energies around you, just how things will work and line up for you. And it's really exciting. Naya, I'm really excited for your new deck. I can't wait to see it. And so you're on Kickstarter right now, right?
Yeah, the tarot deck is on Kickstarter right now. And then the if you want to know secrets.
Yes, of course I want to know secrets.
You may already know because you may have just caught on to it. But yeah, the shadow deck that you're talking about, my Tattered Rings Oracle, is there's a whole new one coming out. It's very big.
I love oversized cards.
I just thought I'm going to get them and I'm going to play with them and I think they're delicious and I want to just put them in my mouth. But it's coming with I'm working on a companion book not a companion book. It's a deep dive journal. It's looking like it's going to be about 300 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to get really dark and dirty so that we can start healing each other.
Yes.
So it gives me chills. It just, it is not going to be on Kickstarter. It's not a Kickstarter.
Okay.
I love Kickstarter, but I feel at this point it's too important to just kind of mass produce and put out there. So the YouTube channel, kind of all of the new little things that are happening is to just get people to kind of build community to just get ugly and change the conversation about trauma and life and healing and witchiness along the way. So
that's so beautiful. I will be there. I'm in like 10,000%. I'm already super excited. You guys, I will put all the information down below. Definitely check out the Instagram, check out the Kickstarter and the new YouTube channel, all of it. I'll put everything down below. Again, take care of yourselves, question everything, do what feels right for you. You're magical. You're inherently magical, even when you don't feel like it. And Naya, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. We will see you guys back for another episode of Witch Hunt. Bye.
Bye-bye.